All right, happy day everyone. Dr. Amy Schultz coming to you here from my home office. Wanted to share with you guys today about heavy metals. Now, this is a big topic, which is why I have my remarkable here, so I do not forget any of the facts and details that I want to share with you guys. So, if you've watched the video before this, we talked about the four amigos. So we talked about 4 different things that cause the greatest toxicity overload on the body, and the first one that we're going to start with is heavy metals. And for the purpose of our focus today, is going to be on 3 heavy metals, so lead, mercury, and aluminum. If you've seen my past video where I talk about the overflowing bucket principle, every time that you are exposed to a toxin, the more you're exposed to a toxin, the faster your bucket fills up and the quicker your bucket is going to tip. So again, for today, when we're talking about heavy metals, this is a big deal, and I think really an issue that's not addressed enough. And so, again, the first one we're going to start with is mercury. So mercury, lead, and aluminum. With mercury specifically, it is the second most dangerous element and probably the most common of the heavy metals. So in preparing for this video, I was doing research, and I was telling my husband the other day that I was in like the deep, dark rabbit hole of research, and come save me, because the deeper you go into this, the research is there, which is scary because you're like, what the heck? If the research is there, why are we still doing the same thing over and over again that's causing the same problem? It's another story for another day. But for our focus right now on mercury, one of the studies that I came across, and I'm going to butcher this name, so I'm just going to spell it. I think it's the DRASH. It's DRASCH, the DRASH study. So what it was focusing on, and if you've followed me, you know that I'm passionate about moms and kids and growing healthy babies and raising healthy babies. So the study focuses on mercury and lead and how it's being passed down to pass on from mom to baby. So there's, not this specific study. So there's studies out there that are showing that heavy metals such as mercury and lead are being passed down from mom to baby. The DRASH study specifically looks at mercury. And so what it found was they found a direct correlation between the amount of dental amalgam fillings, so the silver fillings in a mother's mouth, had a direct correlation to the amount of mercury that they found in the baby. Like, holy stinking moly, that's a big deal. So the first heavy metal that we need to look at is mercury. So where do you get mercury? Mercury, thimerosal, where do you get this from? So 4 ways, this is not it, but 4 ways that we are commonly exposed to it. The first one is through, so if you are someone that had contacts in the late 80s, mid to late 80s, this is obviously thus been fixed and recalled, but it doesn't mean that the mercury was removed from your body. If you were someone that used contact solution during that time, thimerosal used to be in contact care, in some contact solutions. So that is one of the ways that you could have been exposed to it. The second one is through shots, vaccinations. There is thimerosal, not in all of them, but there is thimerosal in various shots. The third one, following my signature, the third one is dental amalgam fillings, or silver fillings, which I just mentioned. If you are someone that has silver fillings, I would highly recommend getting them looked at and evaluated by a biological dentist. I'm not a dentist, so here's my disclaimer. I'm not a dentist, but I would highly recommend getting them evaluated by a biological dentist. I see an awesome one here in my area. I shouldn't say my area. I drive to go see him. I'm in Salem, and he is in Aloha, Oregon, which is close to Portland. So I see Dr. Pascal Nguyen. He is phenomenal. So if you are looking for a dentist that specifically addresses amalgam fillings, I would look for a biological dentist in your area. So that's the third way that we are exposed to mercury, is the off-gassing from the mercury vapor in the dental amalgam fillings. And the fourth way is from fish. So with fish, and I made a list of the most toxic fish. So it's typically the bigger bodied fish: swordfish, tuna, shark, and mackerel are the fish that have the highest concentration. So swordfish, tuna, shark, and mackerel have the highest concentration of mercury. If you are going to do fish, I would recommend doing a wild caught salmon. Salmon, if you go and you can find the list online of where they fall with mercury. Salmon is on the lower side, and then looking for a wild caught is obviously ideal. So those are a couple ways that our body gets mercury or comes in contact with mercury. The second heavy metal I want to address is lead. There is, and I found this super interesting. I was born in 1985, so I found this article in my deep, dark hole of research. Super interesting. So it talks about the generation of children with the highest historical lead exposure is those that were born in 1960s, 70s, and 80s. So I'm 85. I'm in that generation, which I found super interesting. And the research that I came across was linking. There's evidence linking childhood exposure to adult neurodegenerative diseases such as dementia and Alzheimer's. So super interesting. If you were born within that time period, I would definitely recommend getting your lead levels checked. And we'll talk about that in a second. So ways that we are exposed to lead. The first one, again, is our dear old mothers. So in utero, again, studies have shown that lead and mercury can be passed on from mom to baby. So the first one is mom. The second one is if you've ever lived in an old house. So an old house, the paint and pipes had lead. And so when I say an old house, the year I believe was 1978. So if you lived in a house that was built in 1978-ish, before around then, I would definitely make sure that you're evaluated. The other ways that you can get lead are canned foods, glazed ceramics, believe it or not, toys and jewelry, so stuff that kids play with, makeup. Women, I would highly recommend, if you are someone that uses conventional makeup, I would highly recommend starting to switch out some of your products. So lipsticks and other things that we use to make us shiny and beautiful can be loaded with heavy metals. So I would highly recommend going and looking at Skin Deep or EWG for cosmetics and doing a scan in of your products to figure out where your toxicity load is coming from. But makeup products, and then I don't know if I mentioned, but canned foods is another one. So lead is a big deal. That's the second heavy metal. And then the third heavy metal is aluminum. So where does aluminum come from? Vaccines, again, like mercury, not all vaccines have aluminum. You can actually go to the CDC website and they have a breakdown of the shots and they have a breakdown of the ingredients in them. That's where this information is coming from. So aluminum has been found in vaccinations, antiperspirants, sun creams, and toothpaste. So that is an easy one to switch out. Again, just by changing these things, it doesn't eliminate what's already in the body, but it does stop you from continuing to expose yourself and continuing to fill up that bucket with the overflowing bucket. So antiperspirants, if you're looking for a deodorant, go and look at one that does not have aluminum. The idea of aluminum is to stop you from sweating, and you want to sweat. You may not smell great, but you want to sweat because your body sweating is your body getting out toxins. And so by you stopping that process, you're stopping the toxicity from leaving the body. So finding a deodorant that does not have aluminum, sun cream, same thing, and then toothpaste. Then a toothpaste makes no sense. So toothpaste is another easy one. Again, all you gotta do is just flip that puppy over and read the ingredients and look for one that is aluminum free. I really like Dr. Bronner's. I use Dr. Bronner's, and I think Revitin is the other one that we use. Processed foods for aluminum. This one sent me deep down the rabbit hole. Infant formula. I don't know if you guys recently saw this, but this came out in the news recently that they were talking about. Yeah, I know, I can't believe I watched the news. So they were talking about baby food and the heavy metal load that's in baby food, which I have a 17-month-old son, and that just rocked me, and I take care of a lot of pediatrics in my office. Heavy metals in baby food. Who's regulating this stuff? How is heavy metal allowed to be in baby food? They found lead and arsenic in baby food. So aluminum has also been found in infant formulas. If you go to, I found this information on PubMed, but if you go, you can find peer-reviewed articles and literature of where they found the highest concentration of aluminum in various mainstream formulas. So be mindful of that. That's an easy thing to remove or to switch out to a cleaner version. Foils in food packaging, and antacid agents in medication. So here's the deal. toxic heavy metals are everywhere. They're all around us. I tell my patients this all the time. There's only so much that you can avoid. There's only so much that you can control. So with the stuff that you can control, please do it. Because again, our toxicity load is going up, not down. And so we have to be intentional with what we use, the foods that we put in our body, the products we use, I'd say the air that we breathe, but again, there's only so much you can do with that. So with those 3 metals, if any of those things resonated, you think that maybe you've been exposed to those, I personally, as I'm going to, not now, at some point, prepare for having a second baby, I'm going to be doing a heavy metal test on myself with doctor's data to check on my heavy metal load before I have a second child, to make sure that I'm not passing anything off to my second baby. So if you have questions, comment below. If this was helpful, comment below, and I am happy to help. Bless you guys. Hope you guys have an amazing day, and I look forward to seeing you soon.